Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War Reloaded on the Series X, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 3-4. It is entitled Darkest Before Dawn. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to go over to the right. There are, there's a collectible if you haven't picked it up. There's some grenades and probably some ammunition. So this is another chapter that has a split in the road that will come a little bit later in the video, and the two paths aren't necessarily like one is not necessarily harder than the other. We have some more communications here to do, and back there, though, there's also a path over to the right that has a long shot. So it's your own prerogative what you want to have here. Once we get to Act 4, specifically the first chapter of Act 4, there's all manner of good guns. So there's definitely an opportunity to max out on your boom shots and get a long shot. But going through this chapter, I decided to have the Lancer on, and I could have very well had the Lancer and the boom shot and reserved any close quarters fighting for the snub or the Boltok, but there's a lot of instances on this chapter where enemies can get a little bit too close to you, and the Lancer always comes in handy for me to do the chainsaw execution if that is occurring with enemies rushing you, so to speak. And it is always more ideal to lean out of cover rather than aiming around cover or over cover. Do you see this? I'm not sure, but that's peculiar to the Ultimate Edition and to this version, where when you run up to a door, it doesn't snap you into the door kicking open animation. Over here, I get shot at by an enemy with a long shot. There's an interactable piece of that pillar that you can hit and kill him, or you can just move forward. Kind of a cheap scenario right there. You don't get a checkpoint quite yet either. This chapter has one room that can and probably will give you trouble at some point in your Gears of War tales of suffering, and it is the smallish room that has the Lambent Wretches, but they don't explode as much as they do on the third game. Still, they can claw at you and cause a lot of havoc to you. Okay, so this right here is the fight before the division in the path, I believe. And if it's not, then I'm misremembering it, and it's probably the path that leads down to a boomer who's in your way. Yeah, it is. So we're not quite at the division in the path. So here's the boomer down here, and on his heels you'll have some Lambent Wretches. Remember earlier when I was speaking of, I think it's 5-2 Comedy of Errors, and I was mentioning that I will endeavor to seal the holes, but I didn't finish that thought, what I was going to say. And this amount of needing damage for these enemies is fucking ridiculous. But what I'll do is I'll do the fight in the normal way, and then I'll reset from the checkpoint before the fight finishes, and I'll show you the extent of how horrible it is. And this is awful too. I'll show you the extent of how horrible it is if you get locked into a cutscene while you have to fight. But over here, there's a cutscene, and then there's a conversation, and then a hard fight. So it would be nice if it just checkpointed right before the beginning of this fight. So you really need to be mobile here. Put as much damage on these enemies as you can, and if they get too close to you, just run to the opposite side of the room. And it's it's a little intimidating because there are a lot of these guys, and they can be overhead you without your even knowing it because they're out of your field of vision. So, and then of course, this game is just infamous for clipping on surfaces and things that aren't even surfaces, like invisible geometry. But see this one here, you don't have to kill him. I was just right in front of him, so I killed him. But he screeches and he blows up the path for you, so you don't have to kill him. He's not a threat to you. Okay, so he's probably a threat if you get close to him. Probably, I have no idea. But here's the first of the two paths. We will take the left path. But do you see that font and the whole aesthetic of that? I just find that really ugly. And anyway, so like I said earlier, the paths are. It's not that they're harder. It's just that there's a specific order that you need to do things in. You don't need to worry about wretches that are on the other side, obviously. But if you find yourself in a bad spot, you will have to worry about locusts on the other side because obviously their bullets can hit you just as easily as they can hit Dom here. So marking targets is not always my intention for it. Is not always to have the other teammates focus their fire on a target. Sometimes enemies are like they're hiding behind, they always do it. They hide behind cover, and I don't particularly know where they are. So I'm just scanning the environment and clicking in the right stick to kind of find them. In fact, I'm trying to find them. So once I do, then I could reassess what I need to do. Okay, so once the first wave is over, you'll come up here, and always be wary of your stamina limit and rolling up to cover like that. It's never intended. But the key to all of these encounters is it seems cowardly, but you cross the area where approximately you know where the tripwire is that spawns the next wave, and all these waves are on the same checkpoint, but fall back as far as you can. And it is helpful here to have the Lancer, because if they mantle over cover or if they slip around cover and you just need a quick way to get rid of them, the Lancer is extremely helpful for chainsawing them. And that's why you would never want a hammer burst. Like, why the hell would you want that? It doesn't have an instant melee to it, and as far as I know, it deals the same amount of damage. The only thing that deals more damage is, I believe, the last bullet in your clip. You get a I don't know what it is, but it deals more damage, like 50% more damage or 100%. I don't really know, but it deals the literal last bullet in your clip deals more damage, and obviously the active reload deals more damage, while the magazines, those particular bullets in the magazine are flashing. Just the flashing bullets, those are the ones that deal more damage. So I believe on the right path you have access to some grenades, but you'll have more grenades coming up anyway. So after I kill this guy, I'm going to immediately you won't see it, but I'll reset the checkpoint. Now, I'm not going to go too far up because I don't want to have to reset the entire chapter. Okay, so we've done the left path. Now we're on the right side, and we're doing the right path, obviously. So again, just run up, Marcus will usually say something like locust or incoming or something like that. But as you replay these sections, you'll definitely get the feel of where the approximate location of the tripwire points are that spawn these waves. And I honestly I wouldn't feel bad about crossing the tripwire and falling back as far as you're comfortable, because, like I said, these enemies have a tendency. The locust, that is. I mean, obviously, the wraiths are gonna, or wraiths or wretches. I'm sorry. The wretches are gonna come right up to you, unless they're having pathfinding problems. But these guys, they and I said earlier in the walkthrough that enemies don't typically rush, and that is true. They respect enemies respect your position, and they will they'll just go behind their own cover. And I'm not saying categorically that's true, but they typically don't come up to you that much compared to other Gears of Wars. And I didn't even know it, but apparently there's a game coming out called E-Day, and I think that's a substitute for whatever Gears of War 6 or Gears 6 would be. So I have no idea what it is, but I fucking hated Gears of War or Gears 5. I truly hated it. I hated fighting robots, and I hated the characters. Like, they were all, in fucking insufferable. It's one thing where you have to turn voices off in the settings, because you can't stand them. But anyway, keep falling back, and always be wary of enemies on the other side that can shoot you. And I had some hard times on this last scenario too. A couple of instances. See, like the clumsiness of trying to skirt around cover. You got to be real careful of it. And sometimes you get that guitar melody after a fight. Melody is probably the wrong word. I can't remember what riff or something. But you'll get that sound effect, and you still have enemies. So don't always take it for granted that all the enemies are done. Okay, so there's one more phase to do coming up over here. And why did I in particular have a hard time with this? I couldn't say. I think it was usually the last guy would come out of nowhere and put me down. But over here you have some ammunition, a lancer, and some refills for your frag grenades. And a couple of times Dom would see where he's at right now. I would go up there and spawn the fight, and he would not move. He would just stand back. And that actually was helpful to me, because when he goes up too much, he'll fall in combat, and then everybody's focused on you. But what I would highly recommend is to fall back to around here. You'll probably get the Locust Grenadiers and the other ones before the Wretches, but definitely focus on the Wretches, because they'll come back here, whereas the Grenadiers and the other ones, they'll stay back. They will not come over here. But this weapon is such a piece of shit, and the camera shake makes it harder too. But just there's a lot of hiding spots for the Locust over here, and they if you get too close to them, they will come up to you, and sometimes more than... See the auto reload right there? I don't know why in this day and age that change, which is like standard in the later games, is not put in this game. It's fathomable. Even though I probably wouldn't turn it on, but I mean, people, you know, depend on that, and you don't put it in your new game. It's just ridiculous. But then you put in like orange, pink, and purple reticles. All these bizarre. Because if you want to, you can have the reticle pink if you wanted to. But over here, sometimes you will have to scan the environment and click in the to mark enemies just to see where they are. But you getting caught in bad spots like this. But notice, if you throw grenades near enemies, they will cower like that and put their arm over their face, and that gave me, and it will give you a perfect out to get the hell away from them while they're indisposed like that. That's quite helpful. I really like that. And we're kind of just marking our time back here, not even really having access to that much cover. But there's about 3 of these enemies over here. And the same thing happened over here where I got locked into a conversation over here while an enemy is coming up to me. It happens right over here. This is just like in the Comedy of Errors chapter. I know there's one enemy left, and I think it's a grenadier or whatever it is, but it's a threat that kept killing me over here. And watch me get locked into a cutscene. Just watch. I'm almost positive it happens. Yeah, I'm locked into this is exactly what happens on Comedy of Errors. You can't do anything at that point. You're locked into a fucking conversation while there's a fight going on. And I know this is kind of an oddball one. It's screwy over here. There's just one enemy, but I'm telling you, on Comedy of Errors, you can't, like, for 30 seconds or maybe more, you're in a conversation while there's a fight going on. It's so ridiculous. And why not fucking fix it? Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I will see you in the next chapter. It is the penultimate chapter of Act 3, and ironically it's entitled Angry Titan. That you might think that I am the Angry Titan because I was so upset, but no, it is a boss fight. And until I see you there, please take care.